He's in one of the most difficult and challenging ministries, the Ministry of Home Affairs, and in many ways has become one of the most prominent faces of the Council of Ministers. He's also the face of all issues concerning the Northeast, but is also handling other issues ranging from the fight between the Lieutenant Governor and Arvind Kejriwal to where exactly Dawood Ibrahim is. Joining us now is the Minister of State for Home Affairs. With us in the studio, Kiren Rijiju, as we continue to look at 1 year of the Modi government. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
You've been in the headlines for a lot of reasons. Some of them have landed you applaud, some of them have landed you some criticism. So let me start with the most recent place that you've occupied in the headlines. You turned around and questioned a statement given by one of your colleagues, Minority Affairs Minister Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi, who said, if you want to eat beef, go to Pakistan. You said, if I eat beef, who can stop me? It's a free country. When everyone applauded you for saying this, you said I was misquoted. Why didn't you stand by your statement, if I eat beef, who can stop me? Why did you do a U-turn?
First of all, I spoke to Naqvi. He also told me that he had not spoken on that line what was being projected exactly. And on my part, I did not do U-turn. I just told the people that my sentence was not properly represented when it was made a headline in a newspaper. I was on tour in a remote Indo-Bangla border in Mizoram. I came to know about this controversy next day only. I was not in touch with any of the communication network. So when I learned that I put up something like challenging a community that I eat beef, who can stop me? That was wrong.
No, not challenging a community, but asserting your own cultural,
my point was,
religious, individual rights.
You are right in that sense, but what I said is, in my family, my wife, my children, we don't consume beef in my house. That's the reality. But I was not making that as a point. What I was telling those agitated people in Mizoram, that, for example, I am from Arunachal. I am a minister in the Union Council, and you know, it is my duty, an obligation on my part, to lay down the facts about the constitutional provisions to the people. So I just gave an example that if I consume something, nobody will stop me because it's my individual right. I put up in that manner, just telling them and comforting them that don't worry, you will not be pushed to Pakistan. That was the question exactly they put up to me.
So do you stand by the constitutional principle that if an individual, not you, Kiren Rijiju, but if anyone in Mizoram, in Arunachal Pradesh, in Meghalaya, in Manipur wants to eat beef, where it is legal, no one can take away that constitutional individual right. Is that what you were trying to say?
Yes, as a minister of a union government, I have to stand by the constitutional provisions.
Well, why did Mr. Naqvi stand by them?
No, I was told that Naqvi also did not say exactly that line. He was pressed on, again on, and then he said certain things about the freedom and where there is a ban, wherever there is no ban.
But regrettable words to say go to Pakistan, if you know.
I can't
very
comment.
Regrettable words for a
have
minister.
Not even heard this statement, whatever he has met. I have never heard in news or anywhere else. But it was just referred to me in one of the press conferences when I was addressing the civil society and the media, and I met the governor, the chief minister. I met so many people there. And the matter was, brought out in very agitated, manner there. And I just tried to comfort them that don't worry about all these things. Nobody is going to send you to any place.
So you are conceding that these kind of remarks, the ban in Maharashtra, the ban in Haryana, has created some sort of apprehension in the Northeast, in your part of the country. Would you concede that those apprehensions need to be addressed?
These are because of some maybe provocative statements or not properly represented in its form. For me, this kind of individual habits and all should not be made an issue. Less of a political issue. It should not be an issue at all. We should focus on the governance. A government in a democratic country is elected by the people, so we are answerable to the people. We should concentrate on the job on which we are,
I agree with you, but hasn't the BJP made it into an issue, the new decisions by the governments of Maharashtra and Haryana? They have sent a sage these
BJP
issues.
Has not made as an issue, and in some places there are sentiments, there are, people who feel that it is important, but as a government, we are completely targeted on the agenda which we had set for ourselves. We don't want to deviate from our own set norms and agendas.
One of the statements, Indian Express released your full video of as well, and you said that where there is a states where there is a Hindu majority may have sentiments, and those sentiments should be respected. Now, people have pointed out, Mr. Rijiju, that even as you were standing up for a constitutional principle, you were being majoritarian. You were saying where there is a majority Hindu, if they don't want beef, there should be no beef. Where there is a majority Christian or any other religion, their habits should be respected. Look at Goa. Goa is a Hindu majority state ruled by the BJP where beef is allowed. So, aren't you being majoritarian even when you're ironically standing up for a principle?
Not at all. If in my family, if we are veg and somebody comes and says that I want to eat non-veg in your house, it's an intrusion. What I mean to say is there is an individual freedom which nobody should try to infringe upon by the other group.
Yes.
Respect the sentiments, the practices, the faith, traditions, whatever, where it is. My point is very, very genuine and very general. I don't want to really get into all those things, twisting the whole meaning of the concept and all.
So let me ask you, you have a chance on this platform. What is your position on this beef ban?
I said I have no position because everybody has a freedom which is laid down in the Constitution. I don't need to, put in extra words here. The constitutional provisions laid down
But
is
different
very
states
clear.
have different laws in India on this.
That's what I'm saying, that making laws by the state government is not illegal. It is as per the provisions
So
of the
you believe the constitutional principles should be followed on this issue. Okay, let's move on to, you've got a plate full of things to do, and the most recent thing at the Home Ministry's door is this clash between the Lieutenant Governor and the Chief Minister of Delhi. Now, the matter is in court, the court will take a view on it. But the fact is there is a perception, and the Aam Aadmi Party certainly makes that accusation, that the BJP is fighting a proxy war through the LG's office.
Not at all. First of all, please understand, Delhi is a union territory. Union territories are basically administratively controlled by the Ministry of Home Affairs. This is what is there in the provision. Again, the constitutional provisions. Lieutenant Governor is the nominee of the President of India. He represents President of India, which means the Home Ministry, the Government of India. The administrations, the officers of the UT cadres are controlled by the Home Ministry. We are the cadre controlling ministry. We decide which officer should go where, in which union territories, whether Delhi, Arunachal, Goa, Andaman, wherever, Chandigarh, we decide. Of course, based on a certain norms. So, if the Chief Minister of Delhi wants to behave in a manner, a Goa Chief Minister, full-fledged state behaves, or like a UP Chief Minister, it is unbecoming.
But all your parties are committed to full statehood. BJP is also committed to full statehood.
That is a political debate. I'm talking about
You're making a technical argument. What about the political argument? What about the political argument?
I cannot comment on the political argument because I'm a minister here and directly dealing with the UT administration.
But should your ministry have issued that notification? That notification, the High Court called it suspect. The Supreme Court said we will disregard this observation of it being called a suspect notification. That gave the impression that the MHA was getting drawn into a political battle and batting on behalf of the party, of your party.
On the contrary, some people felt that MHA should have come out much earlier, setting the record straight. What is the demarcation of the boundary line between the powers of LGs and the chief ministers and all. So it's a question of interpretation. I feel that whatever our Home Ministry has done is proper.
You also made a statement which could be seen as a politicization of this battle, where you spoke of Shakuntala Gamlan, the officer that Arvind Kejriwal initially did not want to appoint as acting chief secretary and then had to. And you said he doesn't want people from the northeast. Now, was this a fair comment? I mean, you dragged the northeast into a debate where it actually had no meaning.
Barkha, that is completely wrong.
That's how the media reported it.
If you can see the footages again,
yes.
Nowhere I have said that, I am backing somebody, an officer who is from Northeast.
No, you said he is denying her the representation.
No, exactly what I said, I can repeat here on this show.
Yes.
I said the government or the chief minister cannot target one officer without any basis. the Chief Minister has humiliated his own officer who works under his government in a platform where thousands of people are there and asking people that do you accept this corrupt officer or not? And people are shouting no, no. This is a public humiliation. And because of that, I got a phone call from Assam, Arunachal, many places that, sir, this is very bad. They have humiliated one of our very good officer. Then next day I said that it is humiliation of one very upright and very honest, very competent officer. You cannot humiliate a competent officer without any basis. And where I refer to Northeast is only that the family members, the people in Northeast are hurt by this public humiliation of an officer from Northeast. Only that. My backing of an officer is totally based on the competence. This is nothing to do with regionalism, nothing to do with any kind of background.
Then why describe her as an officer of the Northeast? You could have just said, left it at officer.
You're right. But what I said was, when I was informed that people in Arunachal and Assam and many parts of northeastern states, they were hurt by the public humiliation. Then I just made it a point that people are hurt. Suppose if the officer is not corrupt and you are publicly humiliated, won't the family members and others won't feel bad because of this public humiliation? And the track record of the officer is well known. If there is something wrong about the conduct of the officer.
He alleged corruption and links
and
to the power companies.
Why was that particular officer?
And then kind of seems to have backpedaled from that allegation.
The officer, the fact that she is the principal secretary of a very important department itself shows that she is competent to be in that position. And when the Deputy Chief Minister sends a panel of lists, and where Shakuntala Gamling also figures to be appointed as a acting chief secretary, then what was wrong and why humiliation in public?
But isn't the Home Ministry finding itself in controversies that it doesn't need? Let me give you an example. This collision course with NGOs, Greenpeace is, you're fighting Kejriwal in court. This notification will be decided in court. Now Greenpeace has gone to court. The court has allowed them to open 2 accounts that are domestically funded. Why this collision course with NGOs to the extent that even the US ambassador Richard Verma is commenting on it?
We are not on collision course. When we assumed the office, my senior colleague Rajnath ji and we were briefed in a very, very beginning stage by the IB about the way it is and how things are functioning in NGO arena.
And the IB report, by the way, was prepared during the Congress regime, but you acted on it, it seems.
No, that I cannot comment because the system remains the same. Maybe regime changes.
Okay.
My point is, the action against NGOs will completely depend on the action of the NGOs themselves. We will not unilaterally act something on the NGO or on the basis of any, our own, biased attitude. It will never be so. And if a particular NGO has violated the FCRA laws by using the amount which they have received in form of foreign contribution for some other purpose other than for which the money has been brought in, then they are actually violating the norms.
But the courts don't seem convinced. I mean, the final word has not been spoken, but the courts ordered the unblocking, unfreezing of the accounts, if you remember.
Yes, what I'm saying is the merit of the case will be put up before the court and court will give a judgment and we will abide by that.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, if the Home Ministry finds that the particular NGO has broken a particular set of norms, then we are to take action.
But should Priya Pillai have been offloaded? I mean, the Greenpeace activist?
That I don't really want to comment because the High Court has made certain remarks there in that particular case. But what I'm saying is that normally, as a citizen, we in a democratic country, we can be critical of the government, but really going out of the country and speaking about the policies of the government without any much basis can be avoidable.
But shouldn't there be space for dissent? I mean, shouldn't an Indian citizen be free to question the government? You don't have to agree with her opinions. She should have that freedom of philosophy and speech.
Right. There's no denying on the fact that there must be absolute space for a dissent voice in democracy.
So could it have been handled better than to offload a young female activist on her way to London at the airport?
Notice was there from before. And then when she was offloaded, and there was a basis which High Court didn't agree. So it's fine. we cannot really, you know, make a very dark line that this is the only line we have to draw. It's not that.
Okay, speak a little bit about your experience of being somebody from Arunachal Pradesh in the government. And I ask you this because while, in particular in regard to China, we have recently announced e-visas for tourists from China, but China continues to give stapled visas to people from Arunachal. As somebody from Arunachal, are you upset with this? The media reports certainly suggested, the word in the corridors of power is certainly that Kiren Rijiju may not have a say in this decision, but you were upset as a person from Arunachal. Why give them e-visas when they give us stapled visas?
No, I cannot comment on the working system in the ministry, but since I am the minister concerned dealing with the foreigners division, this e-visa and staple visa is totally unconnected to each other. The electronic visa is something to facilitate the tourist arrival in our country. It's for our benefit. The tourism ministry has been requesting the home ministry to extend the e-visas to various countries, more so in case of China, because China sends more than 100 million people across the globe. And many of the countries have a special strategy to get the Chinese as a block of the tourists and for the huge revenue generation. So it's a purely for the national interest. We are not doing anything which is policy changing.
But you remember the rumor that when the Chinese president was visiting, it was said that you were kept away from the banquet because you were from Arunachal Pradesh.
Barkha, you are one of those journalists, you know the nuances of the whole thing. When the summit level meeting takes place between the head of the government or head of the states, the minister of states normally do not have any role to play there. If at all the cabinet minister has to go, that too when something subject relevant to the ministry, or you have to sign some kind of MOU, some agreement, then the minister.
But you know the mountain division that was being raised by the previous government, the court that was meant to take on China in an aggressive way, that budget of that has also been halved. Those are the reports.
These are very strategic matter. I rather not comment on that because right now, as per the Prime Minister's vision, we look forward to have a very, very friendly relation with all the neighboring countries, and we are aspiring for that. And nothing wrong in, you know, really toning down the languages and forging a better relation with your neighbors. But at the same time, we are always firm. I always say that we need not be very aggressive, but we have to be firm about our national interest.
Now let me ask you, talking about national interest in the end, Tripura lifts the Armed Forces Special Powers Act. You have former Home Minister Chidambaram saying to me on this program, J&K should follow. This act has no place in a civilized world. Now Manik Sarkar's government has shown the way in Tripura. This has been a huge bone of contention even in Manipur, as you know, Irom Sharmila's case. In Jammu and Kashmir it is a huge issue. Is the Home Ministry willing to relook at AFSPA?
The Armed Force Special Powers Act is totally dependent on the ground situation. Now it is imposed under two circumstances. One, when the state government feels that the situation is really out of hand and when security forces need special empowerment in their conduct, then it is imposed. The state government also can invoke this particular
and
law,
in Tripura's
and
case the state lifted
declaring the area as a disturbed area. Now, for the case of you say Assam and Nagaland or some portions of Arunachal Pradesh, it is the Minister of Home Affairs who invoked this particular law. And in case of Tripura, it is the state government. They have taken a decision, and I have welcomed this particular decision by the Tripura government, and our security forces in coordination with the state forces have been doing commendable job in last 1 year.
Would you like to see something reviewed in Manipur, for example?
I have stated the human rights activists and all from Manipur, and they met me. I said, if you are appealing us to revoke the AFSPA, then please appeal to those underground people also to cease the violence. Once you cease the violence, this law will automatically be lifted. So let us appeal both sides. Security forces are there only to maintain law and order, and it is necessitated only because of the activities of those groups. So if you appeal to them, make situation conducive, and then definitely Home Ministry will take a view.
So for now the ground situation does not create the space, according to you, for this to be emulated in any other state?
Definitely, because we have to take the suggestions and input from the Ministry of Defence also, and of course the ground situation is well known to the state government. Recently the Arunachal state government cabinet, they recommended, they did not say that it should be withdrawn, they just said that it should remain in the the 20-kilometer belt along the border.
Yes, I was going to ask you that in Arunachal also there seemed to be some confusion.
Yes.
The ministry imposed AFSPA, then clarified it only applied
Yes.
to the border areas.
Yes.
Was that a mistake that the ministry
It was
made?
not a mistake. It was a deliberate step and consciously taken decision that.
But then why did
there's
you roll back
because
the area
the-
covered so soon in Arunachal?
I can't explain here in detail, but the purpose was served.
It wasn't a mistake?
No, no, not at all. It was served. I told myself openly, I went to Itanagar, I told them, don't agitate. Don't go for strike and one call. I am telling you, it is for temporary few days, and after the job is done, it will be lifted. Then I not only withdraw that particular order, but I have gone beyond that 20-kilometer belt. Now it is only police station jurisdiction wise the law is applicable. That means the Congress over last 24 years have been imposing all along Indo-Myanmar, this Arunachal, Assam,
Yes.
all this belt. Now it is confined to police station and then whole district of 3 districts in the eastern part of Arunachal, which is affected by the NSCN
Okay,
activities.
I have to end, but I have to end with the last question. Talking about the police, you know, we are seeing that no police officers being able to take even a weekly off. The Times of India carries this report today. Kiren Bedi has pointed out that for a police officer to get a weekly off, the police force strength will have to increase by 148%.
Yes.
So is the Home Ministry looking at this at all? Because how can our police officers be expected to be civil if they're not even getting human conditions to work
This
in?
is the biggest challenge, Barkha, in last 1 year I have seen in the Home Ministry. The backlog, the vacancies in all the forces, not only state police, even the central arm, our paramilitary forces, huge vacancies.
Yeah.
Now to fill up the vacancies and to really go for better ratio,
Yeah.
population, civil population to the armed forces, the uniform police. This is the biggest challenge I feel. Not only that, even the IPS. Now the vacancies of the IPS officers is so much, it's nearly 1,000 now. You can imagine within the available strength we have in the ministry, how we are managing it.
And
Every
we hope you'll
state
prioritize
demanding.
it. Briefly, as somebody, as a leader from Arunachal, do you get concerns by the debates around Article 370, Uniform Civil Code? The BJP is committed to some of these principles in its political positions. Are you worried? Do you find it difficult to explain it to your people on the ground?
See, these are, I feel sometimes these are not only political issues, but these are national issues.
Yes.
And national issues are best done by consensus.
Yes.
And being in the government as a minister, if I just make a comment here and there and generate controversies, it doesn't help in government really delivering justice to the people. So I rather avoid wavering around and going out of the track and getting myself into trouble. Rather I am as very, very loyal person to serve the party, and just for your information, barring Assam, I'm the only BJP MP from the 7 hill
Yes.
states of Northeastern
Yes,
region.
of course.
I have a huge responsibility, and people come to me, Manipur, Nagaland,
Yes.
Sikkim, Arunachal, they come to me as their own MP, their own minister. So I have this tremendous responsibility on me, and I'm carrying it, and I'm taking this opportunity into my stride. I'm very confident.
Well, good luck to you, and it's nice to hear that you think that loose talk should be avoided by ministers. I think that's something that a number of politicians need to hear, and the Prime Minister also making that point about loose talk today in his interview to you and I. Thank you, Kiren Rijiju, Minister of State for Home Affairs, for joining us on the Buck Stops here. And that's it on the program tonight. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow night at 9.